Welcome. I'm Ryan Chow with Trails Conservancy, and thank you all for joining me to celebrate Sarah Clark Stuart as the 2024 Doppelt Family Rail-Trail Champion. So the award is named in honor of the late champion and philanthropist for rail trails, Jeff Doppelt, and is presented each year. We have the honor of presenting each year to a leader who's gone above and beyond in the name of trails. And that's certainly the case with Sarah. Sarah's leadership, ingenuity, and determination have made Greater Philadelphia and South Jersey, frankly, just a safer place to walk, bike, and be active outdoors. We're not just going to honor Sarah tonight, we're going to chat a bit, and we're going to try to glean some of your wisdom, Sarah, and have a conversation on what it's take to create safe places to walk, bike, and be active outdoors, and just how have you done that in your work and your career. Before that, though, we have a video that we like to show that features the circuit and Sarah's vision behind it.
The vision of the Circuit Trails Network is to complete 800 plus miles of trails throughout a 9-county region that are all interconnected. The idea is that it would serve both recreational and transportation needs. We had done the groundwork of creating a coalition and envisioning trail projects and segments that really did piece together and could become a completed Schuylkill River Trail. When the competitive Tiger program came out just a year or two later, we realized this was an opportunity. That was the huge catalyst that caught the attention of the region's elected officials, the region's decision makers, and the region's largest philanthropy. It was also clear that if we could make the case that everyone was going to benefit, not just one city or one county, that was going to have much bigger appeal. It could be an economic engine. It would also drive development and be an incredible community builder. Everyone wants that. And you don't get that with a new highway or a new travel lane. Public investment is 99.9% placed for motor vehicles. My motivation is for climate change for the future. Trails are unique. It's the kind of infrastructure that everyone loves, and therefore it's a winner.
Yeah, everyone loves trails. Trails are a winner. I second that emotion for sure. And just before we start the conversation, just to kind of summarize, Sarah was the executive director of the Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia for 15 years, I think we just tallied. And she led the advocacy and the vision behind the Circuit Trails, which is ultimately will be an 860-mile trail network across Greater Philadelphia, South Jersey. What's quite exciting is 150 miles of that network have been built, and Sarah's advocacy has helped us to secure, over that time, $240 million of federal, state, and local funding for trails. Just amazing. And I think one thing I'm sure we'll touch on, but probably doesn't get enough attention, is that the circuit is a great trail network for that region. It's also an inspiration for the country. And when the circuit was started, this idea of a trail network was kind of a novel idea, like another form of connected infrastructure. Flash forward to those early days to now, we recently tallied that there are 150 trail networks in some form of development across the country, and there are places like Boston that contribute directly their trail network to seeing the circuit and what happened there. So Sarah, I'd like to, let's have a conversation. Love to chat more about this. But you talked about advocacy in the video there about kind of the tactics around bringing in regions. But whether it's biking or trails, we'd just love to hear more. What motivates your advocacy?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much, Ryan and Brandy and all of Trails Conservancy. I feel like I've been, I'm part of your family in a way for a long time, and I've had so many connections with many of your staff over the years, and I just appreciate this honor. I'm really touched, and I'm really happy also to see friends and colleagues who are here this evening. So thank you so much. So Brandy gave me some little tips of what questions. Brandy's my friend. She makes me look good. So I would say like the three things. One is, like I mentioned in the video, climate change really has been a super important motivating thing for me forever. I just, and safety. So those two things are super important. I feel like we shouldn't be a country where we're the second biggest emitter of greenhouse gases, and we shouldn't be a country that has such a high rate of traffic fatalities. And so doing the advocacy to help try to make that better and make an impact has always been motivating to me. And the third thing is to get stuff done. I just feel so strongly that to be able to show impact and results and have it be visible, like when I was walking here from the train station, and I was seeing your concrete pills and your beautiful K71 bollards and all, it's just all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, oh, DC, you're doing such a great job. And we're doing a great job in Philly too, but we always want to strive to do more, but I recall someone saying to me when I was executive director of the Bicycle Coalition and feeling some despair, like, are we really making an impact? And then a friend would come from out of town and say, the city looks totally different. And that's what you don't, when you're in the middle of it all, you don't realize. But seeing the visible manifestation of your work, like the boardwalk, like the picture you saw there, that's really, really motivating and really just makes you feel great, that you could have a part of that. Just be a part of it.
Yeah, a pretty big part, let's say. This is a active transportation geeky crowd when people all chuckle when you say K71. These are our people here. Let's talk a little bit more specifically though about trails, because you've had a background in bicycle advocacy, before that in kind of environmental protection and conservation. So trails, how did that really emerge as something that became a priority and a critical issue for you?
Well, it was sort of life, like sort of happenstance. I was, I started out as an environmental scientist working for EDF in Environmental Defense Fund in the late 80s, and that's how I met Kevin, and helped hire Kevin over to EDF from Wisconsin. It was such an incredible place to be, and I immersed myself in the issue that was sort of really emerging, which was climate change. But also, got to work a little bit on transportation sort of policy in that realm. And then I left EDF and was hired by the Pew Charitable Trusts, and my good friend Tom Wathen is here tonight. And I went off into a totally different direction. I worked on marine fisheries and coastal water pollution and estuaries, which was a lot of fun, and that's what brought me to Philly. They said, you can either, come to Philly and get a full-time job, or you can stay where you are up in Vermont. So I said, yeah, we're coming to Philly. And we moved to this neighborhood where I remember very clearly the realtor telling me, over there's going to be a trail one day. This is in 1995. And I kind of looked over there, and there was a railroad track and a river, and that was it. And I would walk over there with my little baby on the backpack and my dog, because we would just go right to the river. I would walk over the railroad tracks, and it was just scrubby, nothing. It was vacant land, basically. And so, lo and behold, almost 10 years later, the trail started to be built. And we were so excited. Wow, we're going to get the School River Trail right in our backyard. It's going to be fantastic. And then all of a sudden we learned that the railroad wanted to put up a fence and seal it off. We would not be able to walk across. And I was incensed by that. And so were a lot of my neighbors and my late husband. And it was just like one of those sort of, the time was just right. And what was needed right then in 2004 was basically an outside campaign to get the railroad to cooperate. And this is also 2004 when the internet was just sort of exploding and online advocacy was very young and in its nascent stage. And my late husband was a complete tech geek. And so he said, let's buy laptops and let's buy hotspot and let's go down to the trail and let's get people to sign petitions. And we built up a list of like, I don't know, thousands of names. And as soon as the trail was built, the minute it was built, people were all over it. They were running, walking, everything, and biking, of course. And so the idea that you wouldn't be able to walk to the trail, you would have to kind of walk over to a different road and then go down a ramp was crazy. And so we did this campaign to effectively kind of shame the railroad into cooperating, and it turned into a lawsuit, and the city stepped up and held like 2 years of negotiating a settlement, and that settlement resulted in automatic gates, which I now know are really a big pain. They're wonderful, but they're, as my boss Rich Martinez knows, they're a nightmare to fix and maintain, and a connector bridge over the railroad. And the reason I'm telling you all this detail is that they had to, as part of the settlement, the city had to say, yes, we will build a connector bridge, which was going to cost about $5 million. And I remember someone from the city saying, are you kidding? We're going to have to find $5 million of capital funds? Like, we don't have that. So I said, okay, well, I guess I'll have to help you find the money. So that was like my next purpose, was to go on and try to find the money. And then that's when the Tiger grant opportunity came along. And so, and it started as, well, let's do the connector bridge, and then let's put the boardwalk on, and then let's do this, and it was like more and more and more and more trails got into the proposal, trail pieces. And then we realized we had this, what we were doing was filling in gaps of a network. And so then my colleagues and I, who I was working with, Spencer Finch, Patrick Starr, Jeff Knowles, East Coast Greenway, and Pascal's here. We realized, like, let's that's the pitch of the proposal, was that we were going to fill in the gaps of this network with all these different little pieces, and that's what led to its success.
It's amazing. And during this time, were you still at EDF, or were you at the?
I was at the Bicycle Coalition. I had so much fun doing that campaign that I knew that, and I'd been working basically remotely in my basement for 10 years. I had left Pew, I was working remotely, taking care of my kids and working as a consultant. And I wanted to get back kind of out of the basement onto a payroll. And I loved the Bicycle Coalition because they were at the nexus of this movement that was really burgeoning in the late 2000s, which was the bicycle pedestrian movement that was just sweeping big cities and all over. And I said, I want to go work with them, and that's how I was able to sort of make that happen. And that was really exciting because those were the beginning of. I mean, in some respects, the Great Recession was like the best thing that happened because there was so much stimulus money and all kinds of stuff could occur. You had Bloomberg and New York, and you had cities all over were sort of rediscovering, or the biking, walking was making a big play versus a lot of that money.
Yeah, it's quite a story, and I think you hear over and over that so many of the leaders in our movement started as citizen advocates in their own backyards, and then ultimately advanced that. And what do you know? There's a career in this too, right?
Yeah.
But I think what makes our movement so powerful is that we have grown and we've professionalized, but our roots are still about what we want for our own communities, what we want to do with our own free time. It's just. There's nothing else like it, right? That you can live and breathe it in all different parts of your life. Well, it's flashed all the way to the end of your time at the Bike Coalition. So you retired from the Bike Coalition last year.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people would be like, I'm out, get a run, and off to other stuff. But you're not done yet. And so
No.
you left the Bike Coalition and you went now to the city of Philadelphia.
Yep.
You're currently Trails and Transportation Manager in the city's Department of Streets. I'd love to hear, how has that changed your perspective, this role, and what it takes to bring trail networks to fruition?
It's been a lot of fun, and I think part of my I've been wanting to I've been outside throwing rocks and trying to get everyone's attention from the outside, and now I'm on the inside, and it's, I see how hard it is, definitely, but I also see all this opportunity, and so I sort of understand the challenges, but I'm also able to kind of bring my advocacy skills to, work that inside, and that's a lot of fun. And it's super challenging. There's a lot of stresses on the city. There's a lot of demands. And there's one thing. The first word I heard when I came in was priorities. What's your priority? You have to prioritize. You can't do everything, and that is and that's hard for me because I want to do everything. But and I think that's making me, I think, a stronger advocate, is learning how to try to prioritize and then make the case for all these different projects. But I'm just having a lot of fun. Just now, I get to, sort of put my energy into really pushing as many balls up the hill as I can, and I feel I'm in the exact right place, which is the transportation department, which is what the streets department is, because these are transportation assets and facilities, and that is a, that's what makes it fun, because I can say, look, we're about, adding to the transportation network, providing a different kind of facility for, our residents and our citizens, and it's part of a larger, regional network, of course, which is the circuit. But it's very much also bringing a safe and accessible asset to many neighborhoods that don't have that kind of open space now. So I love it, and it's just, now I have to be a diplomat and be an advocate and be a navigator and bring all those, just all that energy to the projects that I have in my portfolio.
Well, we're glad you're on that side now. So last question before we open it up for the room here. What is one piece of advice you would offer, whether it's people in this room or just people in the field who are working to do what you've done, which is to build and advance connected trails across the country?
Well, a couple of things, you have to persevere. You just have to keep at it. And it takes a long time. You have to be super patient. Trail projects, I think, take 10 years minimum. That's just a fact. And I think for a lot of folks, they can't hardly believe, why would it take that long? Well, it really does. And so persevering is incredible, because if you don't, if someone comes in and they're there for a couple of years and then they go off, well, then that project won't make it. It needs to be nurtured and pushed along. So perseverance is really important. I think we all know this, everyone's in this room, it's like you have to have collaborators. You're not going to do this by yourself. And you need collaborators, you need elected officials who are supportive, other decision makers, colleagues. I mean, I was telling my friend Dave, I've worked with the Circuit Coalition for 10 years, and it was highly functioning, productive, fantastic coalition, and that's why I think we got so much done. I've seen other coalitions that are just really dysfunctional, and they don't. So collaborating is super important. And I was lucky in that, I worked with Patrick Starr, my friend at Pennsylvania Environmental Council, Daniel. We've known each other for 10 years, more than 10 years, and that intimacy is really, really important, because you find your niche, and then you each bring your skills to to this sort of advocacy challenge at hand. And I think the last thing is just you need to have your supporters in leadership. It's incredibly important to have, whether it's your governor or your mayor or your deputy commissioner or your streets, you need to have leaders who are supportive, because then, that's what really helps make the magic happen. And I find that, if you just keep saying stuff like over and over and over and over and over again, eventually they'll start, eventually it seeps in. So, yeah, just keep at it. It sounds sort of plain Jane, but that's true.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought I knew what I was going to say, and then after talking to a few people, including you, Sarah, something from the back of my brain came forward. And I can recall in 91 when Ice-T passed, December 91, and everybody was like, wow, we got money for this stuff. And I called one of your predecessors, one name I won't mention, and I remember I was at 30th Street Station on a payphone, those old payphones, and I think I was running out of nickels, and trying to convince him, and he said, no, we're going to just stick to the road stuff. I'm like, no, listen. And then luckily, John Randolph, who we mentioned tonight, said, yeah, okay, let's meet, let's get together. So, and I haven't worked on the circuit since Anya and then Liz Sewell came on to help staff it 10 years ago. But I don't think there's a couple days that go by that I don't mention something about the circuit to somebody in my 10-state region, about lessons learned. Not that it's going to be easy to replicate, because it is so unique, but congratulations.
Hi, Sarah. First of all, I just want to thank you at a personal level for welcoming me into this industry. I interned with the Bicycle Coalition way back in the day, and then when I started at Rail-Trail Trails, you welcomed me into the Circuit Coalition. So I've learned so much from you. You're such an effective advocate. You understand how the sausage is made and how to pull the levers of power to get the funding, get the trails constructed. And so the Philadelphia region looks very different and feels very different thanks to you. So I think for me, because I haven't lived in Philadelphia for as long as you have, imagining there not being a Schuylkill Banks is something like I can't imagine. That's just such an integral part of our city's fabric and our social environment. And so that's in large part to you, and the fact that the circuit is growing the way it is so much a part of all of the hard work that you've put in over the years. So thank you for that. And I think everybody in the Philadelphia region has you to thank for so much of what makes Philadelphia a great place to live.
So, I'm Kevin. Sarah already shared that she and I have known each other a very long time, and that we were colleagues at Environmental Defense Fund. And after the landmark federal transportation law, Ice-T, passed, we got to thinking that grassroots activists really needed some help, that the law is only going to be as good as its implementation. and that they really needed some guidance as to how they could really have an impact on transportation priorities. And so that resulted in this Transportation Action Guide, published in 1993 and co-authored by Sarah. And I still have a copy. She does not, so I'm going to give her this copy. And it was really, really effective, and I appreciated working with her on that. I was also thrilled when I came to RTC to reconnect with Sarah and Rob as they worked to force the railroad to let them have access to the Schuylkill River Trail. And so what I've seen through all these years is that she has so much passion for this field. She has so much wisdom, hard won over decades of advocacy, and I just can't think of anybody more deserving of this. We have thousands of partners here at RTC all around the country, and none is more strategic than Sarah. So it's extremely well-deserved, and so happy to see her honored this way.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that if it weren't for Kevin, who put out an email saying, Tiger is available, everyone should apply, bike ped especially should apply, and saw that email and went, oh, we need to apply.
And if you work with our friends in Camden that Tom cultivated, you'll have a better chance.
So I'm not going to tell any stories. I am going to read some words. So I would spend some time thinking about you and what it's been like to work with you since I've been at RTC, and these are the words that came to mind. You're a little bit soft-spoken, but don't be fooled. You are also fierce, steady, persistent, smart, strategic, determined, wise, visionary, committed, collaborative, thoughtful, generous, professional, accessible, grounded, and humble. And did I say determined? Determined.
Thank you. Now I'm really embarrassed.
So I was trying to think of what to say about Sarah. I think I'm just gonna go off the cuff. So I've known Sarah for 15 plus years, 16? I don't know, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But when I met Sarah, I was a bike courier in Philadelphia. I had no aspirations to be an activist. I didn't know what active transportation was, no clue. But I did know that I saw a lot of my friends get hit by cars. I knew that the city could grow, it could be better. And Sarah just kind of plucked me as this reluctant activist and led me on this path where I am now. But one thing I was thinking about as Sarah was talking is that Sarah's a true Philadelphian. She's tough, she's resilient, she acknowledges that she's living in a chaotic and crazy place sometimes. But the biggest thing is that she wants to make the city better, and she is kind. She started off by advocating for her block, her neighborhood, her city, and her region. And what Sarah made me feel was that I could be an advocate too. And I think that's the effect that she has. She takes people that you wouldn't think would care about politics, like a bunch of bike messengers in a bar, and shows them that they can make change. So I hope that this award inspires more people, which I know it will. And finally, go Birds.
I want to follow you and go Pats, I guess, but you know, that's a little rough to say out loud, but Joe liked it. I will just close with one thing that wasn't said in terms of your advice or in terms of kind of the things you bring to the table are joy and celebration. I think you have taught a lot of people that advocacy is hard, but it can be fun, and we get more done when we bring carrots
first and sticks later. And I learned a lot in terms of what does it take to help motivate an entire country around this work, from how you have motivated and kept the momentum going in the greater Philadelphia region. Because this work is hard and it is long and people get bored and tired of it. But when we have a whole lot of parties and ribbon cuttings and celebrations, we keep people excited and we get them bought in. And so you taught me that, and I appreciate that, and I think it has helped the work of the whole country. So thank you. And we have one.
Hi everyone, I'm her new boss, so in case everyone was I do want to say this, and I think it was about a year ago, we were actually in DC when Sarah says, I'm going to leave the bike coalition and come work for you. So we had an interesting Amtrak ride home, so that was kind of how the interview went. I think somehow, some way I got convinced that trails and like infrastructure is transportation, so it does make it easy when I agreed to take over everything. There's no more fighting, and so I think I got bamboozled too in that train ride. But I do thank that she came. I do think that she's inspiring our next generation in the city of Philadelphia. I do like the fact that she's given them a holistic view of transportation, not just cars, and we have an entire trail team now, and we're developing everything. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done in regards to trails, to bikes, and everything you've done for the city of Philadelphia.
And so, here it is. This is the 2024 Rail-Trail Champion Award. The Doppelt Family Rail-Trail Champion, Jeff Doppelt, found many of these spikes, and it's our privilege to then turn it into something we can then bestow as an honor. So, Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.